going to be.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. As I said, Purim is literally just days away, but the Pesach planning is frantic. People are preparing where to go and the worry about Pesach. Will I get in? And since COVID, it's, during COVID, of course, there were no Pesach programs around the world, but now Pesach programs for the last number of years are in full swing. And we're going to be looking and analyzing from what's happening, what people are looking for, how can people protect themselves. So these are all issues we're going to talk about on our broadcast tonight. And Donnie Schwartz, we thank him. He is with Passover Listing. They have the most comprehensive listings of where to go for Passover. So we thank him for not only joining us, putting together tonight's panel. And we are joined by a whole group. We're speaking with Aryeh Rifkin. He has a Las Vegas program, the Shabbat.org. Alyson Feldman has a program called FFH Events. Bruce Backman is Pesach in the Northeast. And he also has been around over 13 years. And we're going to be examining what people can look for. So, Shua Tov, everybody. Let me begin with you, Donnie. Thank you for putting everything together.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back on and talk Pesach.
Absolutely. Can talk Pesach all year long.
You can talk about it, yeah.
Now, you have listings where you give people a choice. People can see Passover programs throughout the world. Is this a banner year for are there more programs? Because I keep hearing there's so many programs this year. Is that the case? Is this a banner year?
This is definitely a big year, a big bounce back year for Pesach programs, the Pesach program community. I think we're seeing a lot of programs this year in Europe, a lot of new programs in Europe pop up, and we're seeing a lot of programs in the United States pop up, right? As we see, from in Las Vegas, a beautiful program popping up in Las Vegas this year. But I think this year, obviously there are some programs that decided to kind of take a break or take a little pause. And then there are a lot of new programs coming into the fold. So we are seeing a big year for Pesach programs, and we're seeing a big year for Pesach program travelers this year. A lot of first-time travelers that have saved up and wanting to go away and really wanted to take the plunge and really travel or stay local for that matter as well. So it is a big year, and we're excited to be part of that.
Before we get to our guest, has inflation played any role in people going or not going this year? Because I'm hearing from different operators that it's a strange year as far as people signing up.
Yeah. I think the economy is definitely a factor. I mean, we're hearing that, we from customers and travelers reaching out to us directly. But I think we could talk about with the operators in terms of things have gone up across the board, right? And we all know that. But I think the Passover traveler community, I think they're widely known that they understand that pricing for these programs have to be a little bit more than what it was in prior years due to various factors, supply chain and things of that nature that some of the program operators are experiencing. So it's a different year, but I do think people are understanding of that. And I think inflation is definitely playing some level of role, but thank God it's not impacting what these program operators have been doing for the last 13, 20, 30, 40 years. So that's really positive.
Let me turn to Alyson. Thank you for joining us on our broadcast, FFH Events. Tell us about that and how are you finding the season this year? Alyson? Okay, we'll try. Alyson, are we able to hear you? Or we can't hear you yet. Okay, so let me turn to Bruce Backman. He's been involved for 13 years. So tell us about how your program and how you're finding things this year.
Hey, Zev, maybe just let her back in. She's waiting online.
Okay, fine. So we'll put it back in. Oh,
No rush.
okay, Bruce, then we'll get to Alyson. So go ahead, Bruce. How are you finding things this year?
Me or Alyson?
Hi, I'm back. I bounced off for a second.
Okay, good. So I welcome you to the program. I just wanted you to tell our audience about FFH and how are you finding the season this year? You've been doing it for a while.
Yes, so this is our 8th year, and Baruch Hashem, it's been a fantastic year. We're sold out already of first days and full days. We have a lot of repeat customers, and they hit the ground running, and they're asking us, in August already to, which room are they getting and the booking. So I would say it's like the second after Sukkot, we were in full swing. And Baruch Hashem, so now there's a lot of people who are, knocking on our doors, and we would love to take more, but we are very, very serious in our capacities. So that way, everybody who is coming and signed up is comfortable, and, there's no overcrowding. So it's very important to us that the people that do book get what they were promised.
So
So,
when
but we do
sold
have
out?
Calamite till the end.
How long are you sold out?
It's been about 2 weeks already. So then we let it in, like one group changed their reservations, then we, let in another group, but basically we are full for the first days. Baruch
And
Hashem.
where's the program located?
In the Villa Roma Resort, it's in Callicoon, New York, which is about a half an hour west of Monticello. So it's local to the tri-state area.
Bruce, Pesach in the Northeast. How's it
It's
going?
Southeast.
Southeast.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But it's okay. Don't worry. I'm easy.
Don't you, for some reason, I associate Pesach in the Northeast.
It's fine. Pesach's good. I'm about 95% sold out. I still have some rooms. I have a few first days, last days, and then I always try to make sure I can play around with when I'm doing my rooming list to open up full stays. We're getting a lot of calls this evening and emails. I mean, every week I'm booking at a healthy clip. I'm hoping to be sold out within 2 weeks if things continue at the level they are. It's a good year, but it's also a strange year. I think there's a lot of people who are going away this year who haven't gone away since COVID. And then there's just a lot of increases on cost. I really don't try to raise my prices, but everything just costs more. I've begun my ordering a couple of weeks ago, and I'm noticing prices on everything from food to labor to transportation to trucking. Gas came down a little, chicken's a little less than last year, thankfully. But overall, I mean, we try not to pass on these costs, but I know that all the operators that I speak to, they're doing their best to keep their guarantees to their clients and to provide them the services they promised. And then, to stay within budget. I mean, we're doing the same, but overall, it's a good year. It's a good year. I mean, there's a lot of programs. There's a lot of interest in going to Europe this year, which is a little bit new. But I think there's still a lot of people who either want to stay local and go to programs like FFH or one of the other programs, Tri-State, or they want to go to Florida, or the traditional destinations. I'm in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta in a national park. And I Eruv in actually the entire park, which is about 3,600 acres, which is kind of cool. And it's nice for people who want to walk on Shabbos because they could walk long distances. But overall, I mean, it's a good year. I mean, we have a nice program, like a lot of other programs out there. I mean, we can't have everybody, but anybody who wants to come, we like to have. And I think overall it's going to be a good year. That's my hope. I mean, it has been a good year, and I think it will continue to be.
By the way, you mentioned chickens. There was a problem with chicken shortages for at least about a year now. Has that eased somewhat as far
Chicken's
as?
not an issue this year. Now the problem is duck, which
Okay,
isn't as important as chicken.
Mhm.
There's a duck problem. But I mean, it's being resolved, but kosher duck has been a problem the last 6 to 8 months due to flus. There just hasn't been adequate duck. Chicken is a much bigger problem because we don't make duck nuggets for kids, and we don't make that much duck. We serve duck a couple times on holiday. We're not serving it, 3 times a day, 2 times a day. So chicken was a much bigger issue last year. It wasn't even a cost thing. It was hard enough just to find it.
Right.
It was very hard to find. I mean, people were having trouble. I remember there was a sign at a Costco near my house, like they were watching how much chicken people were walking out from, because they didn't want to run out of chicken. I mean, restaurant operators, caterers were running into Costco's and loading up on chicken because it just wasn't enough.
wow,
And
unbelievable.
it wasn't just for the kosher market; it was the entire, industry. Everybody was being hit.
Let me welcome Chaim Rifkin, first-year operator in Las Vegas, the Shabbat.org, and he's using this as a springboard to run Shabbat throughout the year. So Chaim, thank you for joining us. And how are you finding things this year?
Well, myself, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I know. Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, this is my son, the cat. So
So just for everyone should know that we were speaking through a device. It's not easy for you to speak, so we appreciate your coming on the broadcast.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Aryeh. So can you guys hear me?
Yes, Michal, you're with the Shabbat.org, so you'll.
Yeah, so Aryeh basically hired me to be his voice because as you can hear, it's a little hard for him to speak. But as a rookie program, someone who doesn't have a voice to have pulled together this unbelievable feat of nature, literally miraculous, the first ever Pesach program on the Las Vegas Strip is pretty exciting stuff. And so we're pretty proud to have being able to offer this really high quality program right out the park as a partnership with Resorts World, a 5-star facility that consists of the Hilton, the Conrad, and the Crockfords. We have negotiated an incredible deal with them that includes food and accommodation all wrapped into one. And so the food that we're going to be offering is actually going to be made by the executive chefs of Resorts World, who are super culinary geniuses. Obviously, we will bring in our mashgichim and our kosher supervisors to kosher that kitchen and make it what we need it to be in terms of the kashrus, which will be under the International Kosher Mahadrin and Rabbi Beryl Simsa. We also have an incredible lineup of rabbis from every walk of life. And we've had that question a lot. Who's your rabbis? What kind of religious level is it? We're proud to say that we really are able to cater to many different kinds of Jews from many different kinds of backgrounds. Our davening, we have everything from Nusach Ari to Sephardi to Ashkenazi. And the idea is really to be able to connect Jews and create an ongoing dedicated space that's kosher on the strip. And the Pesach program is the launch of that ongoing program.
How is it coming along? 'Cause this year, I heard some programs have folded in Europe, some programs even in the United States. How have you find, since you're a new program, how have you found the selling season, so to speak?
So it's interesting, and I'm very curious to listen to some of the more seasoned Pesach programmers who are on the call, that in the next 2 weeks they expect to be very busy and sell out, because we kind of jumped into the game extremely late. As Alyson said, she had stuff wrapped up from Sukkot already, and I'm sure she's been planning the whole year. And because we have such an incredible staff at Resorts World, and we have such an incredible staff under the Shabbat Inc. banner, we're just doing the work of a massive team of people, and the interest has just been phenomenal, Zev, I must say. Since I accepted the position and my phone number started going out, my phone starts at 6:30 in the morning, and I take calls sometimes until 10 p.m. and it's just been nonstop. I have 2 other women now that I'm managing that are working with me just to field the calls and the interest. It has really been phenomenal. And yes, while we have heard about the European interest, there's still a lot of people who are looking for local. And it's actually interesting because we're getting a lot of New Yorkers, which I didn't necessarily expect. I think Vegas is a hot destination for a lot of people because of what we offer. People might think, well, what are you going to do on the strip? Like it's a big hotel on the strip, but it's a big resort. There's 7 pools just in the resort itself. There is all the entertainment of the strip, never mind the entertainment we are offering, like the comedians and Moshav Band and the shiurim and the rabbis, but we're also offering excursions that go out to the most beautiful nature, Red Rock Canyon, Zion National Park, and Mount Charleston. So it's a very balanced program offering all types of different things.
How many people are you looking to sell to, and how many do you have so far?
So I think we're probably going to top out this year at about 500. And then I think for next year, we're going to really have to stop and think, do we want to double our numbers? Or do we want to keep it small and intimate like this? I think, Resorts World has obviously endless capacity, but we're keeping it tight this year because it is our first time out the gate, and we want to make sure, like Alyson said, that people get what they were promised. And we feel very confident that we have a quality product and that what we're offering to people is going to be a really fantastic Pesach they'll always remember.
Donnie, let me turn to you because you're watching and observing all the Pesach programs. So what are you hearing out there? I don't know if there are any numbers that we can pinpoint and say how many programs there are operating this year, but I believe some already folded, some are struggling, some are doing very, very well. So how do you see that one program can sell out so quickly and other programs are struggling? They may have been in business for a while too. So give us a perspective of this year's season.
Yeah. I mean, there's over 100 programs this year globally around the world. And, in terms of programs selling out faster, it's really comes down to like what everyone's saying on the call. It's like getting out the word earlier, making sure you kind of start a little bit earlier, because there's people that book early and they want to kind of do the research early and find reviews about these programs and understand kind of what these programs are about. Most programs at this point in time, as Bruce mentioned, I mean, they're at that 80-90%, right? 70 to 90% booked, rate. So if people are looking at this point, I mean, there's very, I would say, few rooms remaining at some of these programs. I think the programs that are folding are folded. I think it could be, it's different factors. I mean, this year I could tell you a lot of the programs are having difficult times or have had difficult times with the hotels. Hotels this year have just been, very, very difficult across the board. But thankfully, over 100 programs have made this.
Why are they difficult this year?
Say again?
Why are they difficult to this? Why are the hotels being difficult this
From
year?
what I've heard, I think a lot of the hotels this year are starting to realize, like, hey, is it, do we want to host 500, 1,000, 1,500 people in a hotel, or do we want to kind of use those 14 days elsewhere, right? And obviously the programs that have been in hotel for many, many years, it's been great, because they have a good reputation. But for the hotels that have never done this before, or for programs switching to different hotels and different properties, it's a little bit of a challenge, and it has been a little bit of a challenge, that what I've heard through the grapevine. So I think it's part of that.
Donnie, if I may jump into that, having this first year agreement with Resorts World, I think part of the reason that sets us apart is that we're not the typical Pesach program, and that we're actually a 501c3, and so 40% of our cost is actually a charitable donation, and Resorts World is looking at this as a long-term partnership.
Yeah.
That's not just a Pesach program, and that's why we've been able to swing it the way we have. And the fact that the other Las Vegas program, the only other one, folded, gives us even more of a boost, because people who went to that program and like what Las Vegas has to offer, now this is even more exciting because it's on the Strip. But the Strip itself has its own appeal because people really like that. But I just wanted to throw that out there because that does make us a little different to the typical program.
Yeah, what I love about the Pesach program community is that I think every program has their niche, right? Every program has their special sauce, right? Like your program for, on the Strip, that's special, right? Right. And then you got Bruce's program, right, in Atlanta, right? Very, hiking and different outdoorsy and kind of get out there. You got Alyson's program, right? Again, upstate New York, right? Has that very close family feel, right, where you can do a lot of different things with a boat, and you got all this different things that you can do up there as well. There's a lot of really cool things about why these programs sell out every single year, and while there's a wait list of probably 50 to 100 people per program. So I think the program, to answer your question, Zev, is the program community, it continues getting bigger, and I think that people really want to see new things happen and kind of have a lot of opportunities in the program.
On the topic of hotels, it is more difficult to find hotels to do Pesach programs out in the United States than it's been in the past. To go do a Pesach program in a hotel, and all the hotels, a lot of the programs that are hotels that are doing programs now have been doing it for many years, and it's a very complex load in, and it's a very complex load out. A Passover program is not standard operating procedure. Even the kashering that's required of a hotel that's for Passover is different than all year. It needs more days, it takes more time, it's a lot more labor intensive, and you have to have a hotel that's a partner. And along the road, sometimes a lot of the hotels, I wouldn't say that they're bad hotels, but they can be difficult because it's unusual the way things go. I mean, I could tell you right now that my Passover program, our first meal I'm serving is probably a hospitality lunch to guests who are going to be arriving on the 4th. And I will have staff already at the hotel a full 9 to 10 days before. I will start cooking and prepping. I mean, it is a very long process. You have to shut things down. You have to time it properly with the hotel. If they want to book other groups, we have to figure out offsets of how they can cater to groups in-house and guests while I'm there and I'm taking over kitchens and taking over meeting space and taking over loading docks. And this is
If I
stuff
could
that gets
just
all get
jump in.
contracted. It's
yeah.
complex. It's very
I could just-
complex.
Jump in. It happens to be that the Villa Roma had a Pesach program for many years and then they didn't. And when I reached out to them, I had never actually heard of them, but I was trying to find a new hotel because we needed a bigger space. And I reached out to them and they gave me an exorbitant price. And then I circled back to them because I realized that their hotel space was what we needed. And I said, could we just get on the phone? And then we finally set up a call. And then thank God, I don't know what I said, but he said, let's set up a meeting. And I was able to literally push myself in to get a one-on-one. And then he listened to us and he was open to the idea because he liked us to have a Pesach program again, because they had it for years. And I think they decided they weren't going to go that route again. So we were lucky enough to convince them to try, take a risk on us. And one of our jobs as operator is to keep our relationship with the hotel, really tight and really good. And so we listen to them and we have a respect for the property. We have a respect for our guests. We want it to be mutual. So I make sure the hotel staff knows how much we respect them, down to, every last busboy, every last, hotel cleaner, everybody has to be respected. And it's a very important factor. So we've been there for 5 years and it just makes such a huge difference because even in my planning, I know the people that work there, they know me, we have a respect, they know what to expect, they know how to help us. They already have gone through some of these situations. So it's not like reinventing the wheel for a lot of parts. But it's my job to keep the relationship up. And it's another stress that, you don't want to burn that bridge. You want to make sure that you stay in good standing with the hotel.
100%.
We're looking at Pesach vacations and it's never too early. As you heard, these vacations, they start planning. We'll talk about months and months in advance of the Pesach holiday. Joining us right now is Donnie Schwartz. He's with Passover Listing. They have the most comprehensive listing of Passover vacations. Rifkin is with Shabbat.org there in Las Vegas, and Alyson Feldman, you just heard, is FFH, and also Bruce Backman is in Atlanta, Georgia this year. And when we come back, we continue our conversation.
Listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
And we're back. Donnie Schwartz helped us put together with a panel looking at Passover 2023. Donnie Schwartz with Passover Listings, and we're speaking to as well to Aryeh Rifkin. He's in Las Vegas. Michal is part of the program, the Shabbat.org. Alyson Feldman, FFH Events, and Bruce Backman is Passover in Atlanta, Georgia this year. And we're looking at some of the programs. Alyson, let me turn to you because something interesting that Michal said before is by getting new people. Are you finding a lot of repeat customers? Are the same people coming back year in, year out?
So we always have a steady stream of repeat customers, and Baruch Hashem, one of our goals is that everyone should really enjoy themselves. So what ends up happening is they tell their friends and everyone asks, what are you doing for Pesach? What's your Pesach plans? So word spreads. So we tend to get into certain communities and then the word spreads within the communities. So even if it's not necessarily a repeat customer, there'll be someone who knows someone who's been to our program. So that's really helpful for us because a lot of times when they're calling in, they already know something about us. We're not starting from scratch. So that's amazing because then I'm not telling them how wonderful we are. They've heard of it. They heard already. And then of course we get our brand new people, a lot of people from Passover Listings, just searching around for a Pesach program. So it's a combination, but we do start off with a certain amount of repeat customers that really help us.
So that's what I'm trying to get a handle on is what percentage would you say are repeat customers? Because everywhere you have to find one.
Probably 40% solid. And then, and then we build from there. But even a repeat customer, it's not always a no-brainer because they might say, let's say a huge group came one year, the next year, only the grandparents are coming. 1 year, it's always an evolving situation. So it's not like, a piece of cake, like just book exactly what I had last year again this year. It's not like that. I wish it were, but it is a decent amount of people. So we're very blessed.
Before I turn to Bruce with the same question, when do you start planning Pesach? Is it Sukkot? Is it before Sukkot?
So we start, really the second Pesach ends, we are already, having our meetings and our notes. But I would say like August is when we're really working on it. And after Sukkot, it's already a frantic job. Like it's already like frantic. So, we try to stay calm, but it just some days like, Michal was saying, some days the phone is just ringing off the hook. And, it's our pleasure. It's what we daven for. And at the same time, it can be overwhelming, but we try to get to everybody and, Baruch Hashem, but it is pretty much an all year round project. You have to always have your mind on it. You have to stay fresh and current. And, no one should ever feel that it's a stale program that, especially you have to understand one thing with repeat customers, they can't come back and feel like, been there, done that. You have to give them something fresh. We're not changing hotels because we love our resort. So we have to make sure that the program feels fresh. So that just gives an extra pressure on me to deliver, but that's something that we try to live up to.
Same question, Bruce.
I would say, I don't really base it year over year. I would say my repeat numbers are over 70%. But it's not always a year-to-year repeat. Like, I don't think that people are going to come to me every year, but if I go through the guests I have booked this year, if I went down the list, I would say that about 70% of them have been to me before. It's not their first time. And then I'd say about 30% of them are brand new. So I may have families I haven't had since 2018, 2019. I had a lot of families I had last year. I had families I had 2 years ago. And I booked a family I haven't seen in like 9 years, a large group. So, families, a lot of families bounce around. I mean, it depends what you cater to. If you're catering to multi-generational families, changing venues isn't as important as smaller parties.
To say that.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, sorry. Multi-generational families, which I really focus on, which are large families, Bubby, Zaidi, grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, like big groups. They're really looking for something to accommodate their needs. There are many families that will not go to a program. It doesn't matter where it's located if they don't have a private Seder and a private dining room. I mean, we have a lot of private dining rooms in this property, which is one of the reasons why I like it, because I'm able to do, I have 350 people eating private on Seder nights and throughout Yom Tov. It's not that many hotels where you're able to do that, where you're able to accommodate a family 3 meals a day in a private room. And for large multi-generational families, it's super important. They love to mingle with everybody in the tea room, at concerts, kiddushes, and things like that. But when it comes to the holiday meals and even breakfast on Chol Hamoed, they really just want to be with their family. And it's important to them. And when you run out of those rooms, it makes it difficult to book some of those families. So that's a challenge. But there's a lot of different kind of Pesach customers. I always say you have large families where they need a place to go away and everybody's chipping in. You have sometimes where there's one invoice and a family member's picking up the bill for everybody. Then you also have families where they're saving up all year long to go away. Mom and dad work. They can't really make Pesach. It's very hard for them. It's the only time all the kids are off school. And it's not just Pesach, it's their annual family vacation. This is it. They don't go away in the summer. They don't go away yeshiva week. They don't go away on other times. This is it. And, you have to try to cater to all of them where they're able to get what they need, the excitement and also the family time, which a lot of the families are really looking for. And we try our best to accommodate the needs of our guests. Like a lot of programs do. I don't think I'm better than other programs. I think there's a lot of programs who do really well for their clients and they cater to them either at price point, location, style, crowd, food, entertainment, speakers. We all have our niches. And, and the goal is really just to be able to deliver the things that we promise to the people who book, because it's a lot of money. And, I take that really seriously, that if somebody's going to spend that much money, to go away to a Passover program, I really want them to go away feeling satisfied and feeling that
Here's
the
the
money
question
was
I
well
have for
spent.
everybody on the panel, and everybody can chime in, is that there's an impression out there that people say, if I wait to the last minute, I'm going to get a much better deal. I can negotiate a much better price for my family than if I do it at the outset. Any truth to that? If they wait to the last minute, will they get a better deal? Alyson, let me-
So, yes, I'll be happy to answer that. So I want everyone to know that we pretty much is almost the opposite. We have an early bird discount that ends before Hanukkah. We're so consistent with our pricing. It doesn't matter who you call, when you call, if you email, the prices are super consistent because we know where we have to be at. We come in with the numbers. We spend a lot of time on our numbers. We pray that
everybody
it's
likes
the
to
right
haggle.
number.
You know Jews like to haggle.
Oh, they sure do. They sure do. So we do like.
I don't want to single out just Jews, but okay.
No. Well, you know what? It's also if you're spending that much money, but it's almost like it hurts them sometimes because they'll get hung up on, okay, could you just throw in a cot? And I'm like, do you know how much a cot costs us? Like, I'm not trying to hold back on you, but you want that cot stored properly and not to get moldy. And there's so many fees. So what we do is we come in really reasonable from the get-go and we stay strong to our number. So we're one of the very reasonably priced programs out there comparatively. So we just stick to our number. So I think there's maybe some programs who charge a fortune and then maybe later they want to fill up their hotel and they can come down a bit, but we don't have any room to come down. So if you book with us, you got the same price as everybody else and we're really consistent. But I understand the question. Like I understand
that all the time. People say to me, if I wait to the last minute, I'll get a much better deal.
So if you wait till the last minute with us, you won't get a room. If you wait till
unbelievable, the haggling, Zev. I must say, I have a new level of skill in negotiation, and I was highly skilled before this, but this is next level when it comes to Pesach. And Aryeh reminded me to let you guys know that if you are sold out, we have the capacity, and we actually just confirmed that we have an ability to add an extra 200 rooms. So we have plenty of space. And on top of that, our pricing is kind of insane. We're charging $4,900 per an adult for double occupancy. It's pretty shocking. And a lot of people have been very surprised by that. With inflation and everything that's been going on, it's been really tough to keep to those numbers. And I think the reason is, like I said, is that we're not a business. We're not looking to make profit from this. We're looking to cover costs and continue to fund the mission of the organization, which is to create an ongoing kosher dedicated space on the Strip. So we have the capacity for growth. We're happy to take the last minute reservations. However, to answer your question, it's not going to get cheaper the later you wait, because we have a certain number that at a certain point, we're going to be paying you to come. And that doesn't make any sense. We're a nonprofit and we want to break even, but we're not looking to make a lot of money on a per person. And that's kind of a different situation, I guess.
So Bruce, how about you? Are you finding people negotiate very hard? And
everybody negotiates.
That's true.
When people large families negotiate, they go from program to program to negotiate. It's not my favorite part of the business, but we offer a lot. We encourage people to book early. Most of the big families, take advantage of early bird discounts. It's not that I don't. I'm getting calls all the time. I got a text tonight. We would come to you for Pesach, but you're too expensive.
We hear that too.
I get that a lot. I'm like, okay, I'm too expensive. If you come to my program and you think after you've spent to me that I'm too expensive, I'll give you $500. I'm giving people a lot. My guests, we really give a lot. And I think a lot of programs try hard to give a lot. I speak to a lot of operators calling me all the time. I like to help, I don't know. I just know a lot. I've been doing this many years. So one of the things you learn is that everybody's gets those calls. Some people do, some people don't. I don't know. Do we take some of them? Depends on circumstances. I could tell you right now, I've had people over the years who called up and told me some pretty sad stories of things that have happened to them in their lives. And they have gotten substantial discounts. But those are not the kind of stories that you should want to tell someone to get a discount. There are cases of, the worst I ever got was probably 6 years ago, where there was a mother and a father that were going through a divorce. And the kids didn't know yet, and they needed to go somewhere, and they couldn't afford it. I got a call from a Rav, and he says, it's something you can do, and you're nearby. I mean, yeah, we worked with them. I mean, I gave them a break. I mean, I was supposed to get money from an organization that was helping the wife to get out of it. It was a disaster. Now, it's not a story I tell people that this is the kind of negotiating that goes on, but a lot of people call up and they need to go away. And, people who handle for the sake of handling, I mean, most of the good operators can sniff that out from a mile away. But there are cases of people who call you with unique circumstances. And if it's within my power to take it, or I think it's something that I want to do, I do it. But I don't want to open up the door that I should get a call from every organization tonight that, I have this and that. But at the same time, it's happened. When I was in Washington for many years, we were by the NIH. And I used to get calls very often about children going through procedures at the NIH, had to be close by, and the organizations were covering the bill. And when you get a call from High Lifeline or something like that, and they say they're sending someone to you for Pesach, they need a break, and you really give it to them. Then there's people who call up and they just do it for fun. There's different kinds of people, and I think every organization and every program gets those calls over the years. From the highest end to the lowest end. From the biggest price point to the lowest one. But there's different kinds of negotiating. By the way, I have to add this: people are within their right to negotiate. It's a lot of money. They're allowed to do what they want, just like they're allowed to ask for a low price. I'm also allowed to say no. This is what we're charging. These are the discounts we're offering. If you're willing to join us, we're happy to have you. I'm sorry I can't match your price. You're welcome to shop around.
Yeah,
but I don't forgive anybody for trying to get a lower price.
Yeah, listen, I'll say this, right, on the Passover list, there's a reason why. I mean, there's over 100 programs out there. Some programs are 6,000 per couple, other programs are 18,000 per couple. At the end of the day, whether it's 6,000, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 18,000 per couple, it's all still expensive. It's a lot
Which is the
of
most expensive? Which is the 18,000 per couple? Which program is the most expensive? The one that's out there?
There's a lot of them. There's a few that are 18,000.
I heard of a program the other day that an average room for two people, just two in a room, with taxes and service was $22,000.
Yeah,
in the United States.
It's a lot. But listen. The point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is that
it's a very nice program, by the way, if you can afford it. I'm not against anyone going. It's just expensive.
Exactly what I was going to say, right? Whether it's 6,000 or 12, every program offers a special, different quality, right? And whatever you can afford is really where you're going to go. So if you're going to haggle and you can't afford a 10,000 or 15,000, there's other programs that are available, right? That are very good programs, right? That may have different accommodations, different hotels, different locations, different amenities, different entertainment programming. That if you want to go away, that's what you have. But I agree with everybody on the panel here. I think it's key that as the time gets later, I don't think the programs get cheaper or get less. I think at the end of the day, this is where there's a lot more demand, and there's a lot of people still looking for Pesach programs right out there. So I think you have to really look by.
You also have to understand something else. The European programs come at a much lower price, and everybody always asks me, why is the program in Italy or Greece or Morocco or Spain, it's $5,000 a couple? Why is that? And I tell them the same thing every time. It's not apples to apples. An American program for Pesach at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a room is not a European program at $4,000. I don't care what the hotel looks like. An American program is providing a lot more food, a lot more servicing, and a lot more programming. We are serving in my program, and I think that's probably applies to everybody in the call and almost all the. I'm serving 6-7 meals a day. Okay, families do not. There's always food somewhere, and not just snacks. There is food somewhere. We always have something going on. European programs are amazing because of the destinations, but Americans going to them will find that it's not. It's 3 meals a day. There's a speaker. There's some kids programming. There's a lot of great activities to do. Touring, you can't compete. If you're in Italy, I mean, come on, there's a lot of stuff to see. But an American family going there and expecting to have the pampering they're going to get in a program in the United States, it's not the case. I mean, they're not going to get the sheer number of food. They're not going to get the children's programming. They're not going to get the same kind of camp. They're not going to get the same number of speakers. They're not going to get the same number of minyanim. They're just not. And it's not a fault of them. I mean, you can only give so much when you're charging a price like that.
Differently than Americans do. We have a few moments. I'm curious to know, and I had this debate with tour operators. Some tour operators say we have great program. We make sure we get top of the notch speakers and entertainers. Other programs say, we got a great destination, great hotel. We don't need programming. Where does everybody stand on that? Do you need good programming? Can you just get by with having a great destination?
I think that the people can make the decision for themselves, but we have, like, let's say Rabbi Shais Taub coming this year, and you'll be so inspired, it will impact your yontif. But there are people who are looking they just want to be in the hot sun. It just totally depends on the person. And like Bruce said, it's up to the person. Everyone has a priority. It's their job to figure out what their priorities are. And that's why Passover listings is such a good spot, because you can literally just scroll through and see what talks to you personally, and then make that call and find out the details. Always make sure you find out the details.
If my wife and I were going away for Pesach without kids, which Baruch Hashem, we have 4 kids, but if I was a traveler, I wasn't in the business and I was going away, I would love to go to a European program. I'm happy at 3 meals a day. I want to go touring and look at beautiful destinations. But when you start bringing children into the mix and bubbies and zaydis and older guests, a lot of those programs, they're great, but they don't appeal to everybody. Like I have a friend this year who called me, a client. He said, should we come to you? We want to change. I said, I think your kids are old enough. I think if you want, you can go to Europe this year. He's like, why? I said, your kids are getting older. They're all teenagers. You don't need the programming anymore the same like you used to. You'll tour, you'll go see interesting things. Like I was helping him plan an itinerary. Go here for the day, go here for the day, rent a car, pack lunches. It's a totally different experience. I don't fault it. I think it's beautiful.
To keep in mind, it's a 3-day yontif this year. So it's
Correct.
Like the Cholamoid's a little shorter, so there's less touring, and you're going to be more dependent on your resort and your hotel programming. So that's something.
That's true too.
Well.
Even as a first timer, even for our first year, we realized immediately that a program is essential. It really doesn't matter where you are in the world, because you're having so many days of yontif. Our program is a 10-day program. So between the yontifs and the Shabbos, more than half of the time is a yontif. And there's a lot of restrictions. So we have to have a lot of amazing stuff available. Even though we have the incredible excursions, we have a great kids program. We also have a really well fleshed out singles program where we'll be offering shadchanim and all kinds of other services for people to meet each other. Although we are not a singles program exclusively, we have a lot of families, we have a lot of intermixes. So we have a lot of, say, divorcee or widowed older singles coming with teen or 20-year-old kids. So is that a family? Is that a single? It's kind of both, right? And so we're creating a very interesting program and dynamic, allowing people to meet and mingle throughout the 10 days at the hotel. We also have really high-end, high-tech security. Actually, one of the Israeli counterterrorism specialists from Israel, like trained in Israel, who's going to be running a security detail, but also be doing training in terms of self-defense. Las Vegas allows a lot of interesting options that may not be available in many other places, such as going to the range that we can do in addition to the programming at the hotel, which is just like the resorts and the on-site spa and all the pools, and obviously the casinos and the theater. We also happen to have next door Adventure Dome, which is the biggest indoor theme park in the country. And so anybody with kids of any age can go and ride a roller coaster next door, which is kind of fun, like a huge roller coaster. Like I think there's actually 3 roller coasters in there. So having that on offer, again, Las Vegas isn't the entertainment capital of the country for nothing. So we're blessed to have that right there. But we also have speakers like Mendel Schwartz, like Rabbi Black from YU. We have a Chazan, Yehuda Solomons from the Moshav Band, who runs Happy Minyan in LA, and just gives you such inspirational, such beautiful davening to really transport people in terms of the spiritual. The programming in the shiurim will be halachic and religious, but we'll also have businessmen operating. Again, because of the 501c3 nonprofit, we're building a community, and we're actually allowing all guests and speakers and rabbis to create profiles on our website. And in the ongoing programming, people will be able to select, oh, I want this rabbi to come speak. I want this guy to do training. I want Yehuda to bring Moshe up for my wedding, because we'll be able to provide weddings, bar mitzvahs, conferences, conventions, family gatherings year round. at Resorts World with ongoing kosher food.
So Pesach is a launch for the Shabbat.org, basically speaking.
Correct. And I think one thing must be said that I just must say before I jump off, and that is the idea of Kedusha in Sin City. Like, what is that? You know, Kedusha in Sin City, like in the heart of the Las Vegas Strip.
With gambling, or people saying they don't want to gamble?
Gotta do it. It's so needed. Here we are, like this Shabbat in the middle of Vegas. Like, that is so awesome. Like, I'm really very excited to be a part of this. And anyone who's part of it is kind of getting excited about that mission.
Do you have any problem with people saying, I don't want to do gambling while you're in the gambling place? So you're getting people saying that to you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, we're in the heart of the Strip, right? So you can do anything you want. You know, so people have asked, like, well, how religious is the program? We accept Jews from all walks of life. We recognize that people have different needs, but we're providing a space where they can connect to something spiritual and that they can experience Jewish life in a way that's meaningful to them. And so we're very proud of that mission.
I'll say one thing on the program side. When every year we survey thousands of people, thousands of Pesach travelers, finding out like what are they looking for? What's one of their top things when they go away for Pesach? What's most important to them? You know, programming, entertainment really comes, just going back to the gist over here, comes up as the top three. Program, entertainment. It's the reason why, you know, Alyson, Bruce, and everyone said this. You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep it fresh every year, even if for the returning customers, people. Right? That's why every program switches it up every year, and every program has stellar entertainment and programming across the board. So.
But you have to be careful when you switch it up too, because people sometimes make the mistake of switching up stuff that people really like.
Absolutely.
So I always say that you're tweaking more than switching. It's, you know, people are coming to your program because they have an expectation of what they're going to get. So switching up, tweaking means maybe a different speaker, maybe something new here and there. But, you know, we always try to improve. But I want to know, my guests who are coming to me know very much what to expect, because again, it's expensive to go to a Pesach program. And we don't want them to be too surprised.
I think all updates are very thoughtfully made and in line with just trying to give someone a fresh experience, but always at the standards that they're expecting, and and also fitting our crowd and the crowd's needs.
Right.
Absolutely right. I mean,
I added
Yeah.
No, continue. I added a new speaker this year. I've had a lot of the same speakers for years, and I wanted somebody new and exciting people wanted. So, I approached Yoel Gold from LA, Rabbi Gold, about 6-7 months ago, and we were able to come to terms and that he would be willing to come for. But Rabbi Simon Jacobson's been with me for 11 years, and he's still staying. Like, that's a tweak.
Absolutely.
We help, we're keeping people that everyone likes, and then we're adding somebody that they haven't had before.
Yeah.
And that's the right way to do it.
I think that's
we focused a lot on the entertainment. I think we locked them in first. We had like Shir Soul and 613, right? And then we started focusing on the rabbis. I think we might have done it a little differently. I guess we focused on the entertainment first, having Moshav, and we're having the Seders performed a cappella, which is kind of a cool component. Vegas style, I guess, since we're on the Strip.
We're almost out of time. Let me just ask Donnie a final question. There used to be a time when I saw multiple Pesach programs from the same operator. Could be 3, 4, 5 locations. Is that changed? Because I really don't see so many operators operating more than 1 or 2 locations.
Yeah, it's still few. Yeah, it's still few, and a few operators are running multiple programs, right? You got a couple operators that are running program, Kultuv, right? And you got Italy and Morocco. You have, of course, you got the Costa Ricas and the Leisure Times, running multiple programs as well. But you don't really see that. And even the program operators that have run multiple, they're really kind of consolidating, making sure they focus on, 1, maybe 2, right? Major programs this year. So that has changed quite a bit actually in prior years, to say the least.
I noticed that. Donnie Schwartz, I want to thank you for helping set up our program tonight. Thank you for being here with us. PassoverListings.com. If you want anything related to Passover, that's where you go. And thank you. And I want to
wish everybody luck. Everybody should have a great Pesach. All the operators and all the guests.
Thank you, everybody.
It's a lot of work. Everybody works really, really hard, and I hope everybody does well, and I hope everybody's happy.
Amen.
Thank you, Zev.
Want to give out your information where people can contact you. So, Bruce, where can people learn more about your Pesach program?
They can go to PesachintheSoutheast.com, That's probably the best place, and they can email info@pesachinthesoutheast.com if they want to get quotes, have questions. Those are probably the best places. And they could call us too if they want.
What's the phone number they can call you?
I'll give it to you. See how organized I am. The number is 631. Oh my God, I don't even know my own phone number. Isn't that funny?
I'll let you get back to it in just a moment.
No, I have it. 63. I never call myself. 631-482-7160.
One more
But
time.
the emailing, but we answer emails at all hours. info@pesachinthesoutheast.com. Most of the guests these days email initially, and it's 631-482-7160. Thanks, Shep.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to have you. Alyson, the Feldman FFH events. If people want to learn more, they can't go for this year. You do Sukkot or only Pesach?
She just Pesach. I think she had to drop, but I'll just plug her here. It's ffhevents.com, ffhevents.com, and then her number is 877-681-6411. Again, it's 877-681-6411.
Aryeh Rifkin, I thank you for being with us. A brand new program, Las Vegas, a lot of excitement for the program. So I know that, why don't you give us, Michal, why don't you give us the information where people can find out more about your Las Vegas program for Pesach and beyond? You're still accepting reservations for the holiday.
Sure. Thank you so much, Zev, for having us on. We really appreciate the time and the promotion. You can find us at theshabbat.org. Theshabbat.org. We have the Passover tab right on the top there, or the register tab where you can play with the pricing, and then call me to haggle. 310-406-5437, 310-406-5437. That is my personal cell phone. I know I'm insane. I don't know why I'm giving it to all you people, just because I love my Jewish people. You can also email me at michal@theshabbat.org, michal@theshabbat.org. The things I do for my Jewish brothers and sisters, what can I say?
Call it Shabbat, or you didn't call it the Shabbos.org? How do you get to be Shabbat? How do you decide?
The Shabbat.
Okay, the Shabbat, not the Shabbat, but the Shabbat. Okay, thank you for joining us, and happy Purim and a happy Pesach.
Chag Sameach, everybody.
Chag Sameach.
So there you go, the Pesach program. It's in full earnest, over 100 programs around the world.